I want to start um, with this quote from the recent book that Joko Beck's daughter published, and it's called Ordinary Wonder, and is a recording of Joko's last teachings that had not been published, and her daughter is publishing these teachings. So Joko Beck's daughter, Brenda Beck, writes, in a talk midway through 1966, she, Joko, outlined the birth of a child. Before birth, the world satisfies all that is needed in the womb. After birth, however, the infant's needs can never be totally met by others. Unable to conceive that there could be an issue with the parents on whom the infant is totally dependent, a seed is planted. The problem must be with the young baby. The baby feels it must be something wrong with itself, and this is the foundation of the core belief. The core belief is always a negative belief we have about ourselves, an opinion so painful that we will do almost anything to avoid feeling our abject sense of unlovability and worthlessness. End of quote. This core belief of unlovability and worthlessness is more commonly known as feeling not good enough, and it's pretty universal. I realized that when I look at my core belief of not being good enough, is a bottomless pit of conditioning that goes back prior to the beginning of time in the Christian era. It's that deep. Then I wonder if this core belief of unlovability and worthlessness, of not being good enough, is human beings' collective belief. If this is not just an individual belief, that this is our collective human beings' belief. Do we feel unlovable and worthless at a collective level, at a planetary level? Do we feel not good enough as a collective level, as the human race? And I wonder how we humans always felt like that. Carl Jung, in his Collected Works, Volume 18, says that human beings have a personal unconscious, exclusive for each person, and a collective unconscious, inherited by all human beings. The history of the human race, he says, is always alive somewhere in our collective mind. And he says, the knowledge of the entire human race, the knowledge of the entire human race is stored in our mind and is potentially available to each one of us. Jung affirms that the antiquity of our mind goes back many millions of years, sprouting from a perennial root under the earth, and says that human beings' life would be much better if it was in alignment with the truth. The perennial root within us, which is the mother of all things. Jung argues no, sorry, Jung urges humanity to reclaim the mother of all things. I'm so grateful to Carl Jung. I mean, I'm just so grateful. Because before I found this quote, it was just me saying, yeah, the mother, the mother. And then, wait, what? Carl Jung is saying this. Whoa, thank you. Thank you. Now we are a team. I'm not alone anymore. There is plenty of evidence that from 100,000 BC until the start of patriarchy in the Bronze Age, 3000 BC, our original ancestors from prehistoric times experienced the life-creating source of the universe as the mother, who containing within herself all genders' energies, gave birth to humanity and all of creation. It was a creation of unconditional love. I wonder, can we open our hearts to the realization that the earth, the planets, the stars, and the whole universe are a creation of unconditional love? Can we feel this? Can we open our hearts and feel that the whole universe is a creation of unconditional love? Of love. And that this love is available to each one of us. And at night, when my body hurts and my bones hurt and my muscle hurts, I open up to this love and I feel much better. And I feel much better. Our ancestral Great Mother was revealed in everything: the animals, the plants, the moon, and the stars. We were her children. As long as we conceived the universe in this way, we were peaceful and helped each other. Men and women lived in harmony for the well-being of the community. And this primordial memory is still within us. I mean, after all, there's only 2000 and something years of the Christian era, and patriarchy before that lived together with the religion of the mother for the previous 3000 years. So at least we have almost 100,000 years more of memory of this primordial unconditional love, and the universe being presented by a mother that was also a father, and that was also all people, that left nothing outside. And we still have that within us. During the Bronze Age, 3000 BC, with the advent of patriarchy, it was the time when men were divided from women. Men were divided from women and from people of all their genders. The feminine was divided from the masculine. Our earthly nature was separated from our divine nature. No wonder we don't feel good enough. It was then that the coexistence of men and women in equality and harmony changed into the dominance of men over women and over people of other genders. some men, I mean some men, I don't mean all men. The supremacy of the masculine over the feminine and people of other genders was established at that time. The innate wisdom of women was regarded as madness or evil, something to be feared and destroyed. The prior care and communion with the earth transformed into the exploitation of her resources and her creatures. Was it then, when the masculine was separated from the feminine and from people of other genders, that humankind started to feel worthless and unlovable at a collective level? That we started to feel not good enough at a collective level? That we felt incomplete at a collective level? It makes a lot of sense to me. In the Judeo-Christian mythology that succeeded the Great Mother religion, there is no female dimension of creation. Our Western culture was structured around the image of a male God who is beyond creation. Ruling from heaven, he is not part of creation. And the Virgin Mary, the only female figure that could be an emanation of the Great Mother, is only Queen of Heaven, but not of earth, as the Mother Goddess was before patriarchy. I want to read you part of a poem called Thunder, Complete Mind, found in the Nag Hammadi text dating from around 300 CE, in which thunder is personified as a feminine power. But feminine power includes all genders. So we are not talking about women here, we are talking about all genders are the feminine. The poem declares that the often invisible divine feminine presence shines everywhere and on everyone, embracing all that we are, whether we live in palaces or garbage dumps. Rather than seeing the divine only in positive attributes like wisdom, holiness, and power, this poem invites us to visualize divine energy with our whole mind, even in terms of madness, shame, and fear. The following is an excerpt from Thunder, Whole Mind. Why you who hate me, love me, and hate those who love me? You who deny me, confess me, and you who confess me, deny me. You who tell the truth about me, you lie about me, and you who have lied about me, you tell the truth about me. You who know me, be ignorant of me, and those who have not known me, let them know me. For I am knowledge and ignorance. I am shame and boldness. I am shameless. I am ashamed. I am strength, and I am fear. I am the first and the last, and the one who is honored and the one who is scorned. I am the whore and the holy one. I am incomprehensible silence and the voice of many sounds, the word in many forms. I am the utterance of my name. Do not cast anyone out or turn anyone away. I am the one who remains and the one who dissolves. I am she who exists in all fear and a strength in the trembling. I am she who cries out. I am cast forth on the face of the earth. And later on, I'm going to talk more about this, but this feminine power that was exterminated from the face of the earth only went dormant because energy is impossible to kill. So then it appeared in China as Taoism. And when we recite affirming faith in mind, you can see the influence of the feminine in that poem, in that Taoist poem of affirming faith in mind. I don't know, I don't think we do it during retreat, but we certainly doing it in the mornings, right? You did it?
Yeah.
Today?
Yesterday.
Did you see the similarity? Did you see where this is coming from? The feminine, it appears in Zen. The feminine is in Zen. As you can see in this poem, Thunder, Complete Mind, the unified mind embraces all that we are: courage and fear, ignorance and wisdom, shame and shamelessness, right and wrong, good and bad, this and that, everything, everything. The practice of unconditional love has the power to unify, to embrace in ourselves all those energies that we usually reject, so we can return to the experience of our intrinsic unity and feel complete in ourselves. Buddhist practitioner, psychotherapist, and renowned author John Welwood says, the basic human wound which is prevalent in the modern world forms around not feeling loved or intrinsically lovable as we are. Welwood called this a wound of the heart. Inadequate love is shocking and traumatic for a child's developing and highly sensitive nervous system. When we grow up without unconditional love, our original qualities such as innocence, joy, spontaneity, trust, playfulness, etc., become obscure in the process of growing up. I didn't grow up with unconditional love, but when I was able to develop awareness and presence through my Zazen practice, I was able to begin to extend love to those aspects of myself that I have previously rejected for not being culturally acclaimed. I started to extend my unconditional love to my shame, my anger, insecurity, fear, jealousy, envy, imperfection, arrogance, pride, attachment, desires, stupidity, neurosis, inferiority, and on and on and on. All those faces inside ourselves that we pushed away. This healing practice of extending unconditional love to the rejected aspects of oneself has a wonderful name in Sanskrit, and it is Maitri. It's Maitri. And I love this word Maitri because unconditional love is long, but Maitri. Ma is the syllable of the mother, Maitri. I love it because it's little and it starts with the syllables of the mother, Maitri. So I want to let you know that this practice is so important, because when we are in a state of intrinsic, unconditional love, there is nothing that can trigger us. Do you understand? Do you understand? Because we are in complete union within. There are not all these poor little ghosts out there asking for help that they can get triggered so easily as a way to say, I'm here, help me, help me. We might just bang them in the head some more. Just our little faces asking for our love. And really, there is no wisdom without being complete in ourselves. I was teaching in Spain, like the 5 wisdom inherent to mind, and each wisdom has counterpart of the deluded strategy. But if we are in the wisdom aspect, for example, in equanimity, and we reject the other side of the wisdom, that is pride and arrogance, then we lose the wisdom. We lose the wisdom. It's only when we are in a state of unity that we realize this wisdom. When we reject nothing. So we can extend Maitri to all of our feelings and emotions. These are our internal hungry ghosts crying out to be unified inside us again. Trungpa Rinpoche said that fearlessness is the willingness to meet and feel our fear. And the poet Rilke said that perhaps everything that frightens us is, in its deepest essence, something helpless that needs our love. That was my experience too, when I started to dive deeper in my mind. I realized that what appeared as monsters at first, they were my own little children left behind, crying to be loved, crying to be accepted, crying to be unified within myself. There is a wonderful koan that is very dear in my heart, maybe because I had always identified myself with the main character. And I don't know why, but every time I talk about this koan, Seiyo is here. And she didn't know. She never knows I'm going to talk about this. The main character is the woman Sei. But this is not a gender koan. Sei could be any one of us, men, women, and people of all genders, of other genders. This is a koan about Maitri, or unconditional love. I'm referring to koan 35 of the Mumonkan. Seiyo and her soul are separated. The koan asks, or says, Master Goso asks Kamon, Seiyo and her soul are separated. Which one is the true one? I try to make the story shorter because some of you know it. Once upon a time, it's a fairy tale, so you can just relax and listen to this fairy tale. Once upon a time, in the Chinese province of Ko, lived a man, Chokan, with his beloved daughter, Sei. Chokan used to tease her, saying that her beauty matched that of her cousin, Oku. Just about the time the two cousins realized that they were in love, Chokan announced his choice of another man for Sei. The young lovers were heartbroken. Oku left the town, setting off in a small boat. He had rowed a distance when he noticed someone running along the bank, waving to him. To his great joy, he found out that it was Sei who had followed him. They decided to travel to a far-off land and make a life together. A few years later, when Sei had become the mother of 2 children, she realized for the first time how strong parents' love is. Her conscience began to bother her about the way she had treated her beloved father. Her husband Oku, who also regretted what they had done to Chokan, suggested that they return to their homeland to ask for forgiveness. When they arrived in the province of Ko, Sei remained in the boat while Oku went to apologize to Chokan and tell him what had happened. The old man asked Oku, whom was he talking about? The young husband replied, your daughter Sei. But Sei never left home, the old man exclaimed. Shortly after you went away, she became ill and is still confined to bed. She hasn't said a word since you left. You must be mistaken, Oku replied. If you don't believe me, come down to the boat and see for yourself. The old man was reluctant, so Oku went along to bring Sei back to the father's house. In the meantime, Chokan went into the bedroom to tell the sick Sei what had happened. Without a word, the invalid rose from her bed and rushed out to meet the approaching Sei, and the two became one. And so Zen Master Goso asks, which one is the true one? The one that stayed home in bed because she couldn't move. She was in a state of coma and deep depression. Or the other one that left to have a life with her beloved Oku. When I first looked at this koan, well, it blew my mind for many reasons. Because as far as I know, this is the only koan that love is mentioned. And also is one of the few koans where a woman is the main character. So those things already called my attention, that this was a story about love. And that also, what struck me even more is that I recognized a part of myself when I was younger, maybe in my 20s, in a deep state of depression, prostrated in bed. I couldn't move. So I totally identified with that say. And then life changes. Life changes. Karma comes and changes, and suddenly you are out of that, and you are living your life, and you're living a prosperous life, and you have children, and you have a husband, and you have prosperity. But what happened to that say? Did that say also came with me to live my prosperous life? No, she didn't. She stayed there. She stayed there, laying in bed in a state of coma and depression. So for me, that say represents all those qualities of myself that I have to leave behind in the process of growing up. And then the say that left home represent our daily consciousness and our ability to develop awareness. So then I am out of the state of depression. I live in a prosperous life. I hear the Dharma and I join the Dharma. And I join the Dharma and I develop awareness and I develop the light of awareness. And I start the journey into my unconscious mind. So I see that they say that a stay home in bed represent our individual and collective unconscious. And they say that is in the world has the potentiality to develop awareness. So do you also remember leaving aspects of yourself behind in the process of growing up? Carl Jung, my friend, said in volume 2 of his collected works that meditation seems to be the royal road to the unconscious mind. Oh, amazing. Here he is again, saving. They say that left home has the ability to develop awareness, the light of the awareness that we cultivate through the Zen practice. The light of the awareness that we cultivate through the Zen practice can illuminate our unconscious mind. My teacher, Philippe Kapleau, said that when we have an opening of consciousness, it's as if we had lit an incense tip in a dark cave. I tell you, if I am in a complete dark cave, I will find such an amazing light, that tip of an incense. That would be so amazing to have that bit of light. So we start seeing something among the shadows. But as we continue practicing, our awareness increases, and it is as we carry a candle and then a whole torch and so on until the walls of the cave are gone and we perceive the whole wide sky of our essential nature, the undefiled consciousness, the wisdom of space, or prajna paramita. When I was a Zen student many years ago, I couldn't bring personal or emotional issues into the Dokusa room. So I've learned to feel my emotions while holding the questioning, who is feeling this? Who is feeling this? I was bottled up of unfelt emotion, I have to tell you. It was, like, it's impossible to stop them from coming up when you had that many, So with this question on who's feeling this anger, who's feeling this sadness, I was able to breathe, and at the same time, those emotions could transform in their own. And little by little, I started feeling lighter, and those emotions transform on their own. I mean, the body has its own wisdom. We just have to give a bit of a space. So we are not caught up in the emotion. So by saying who's feeling this shame or this anger or this sadness or this insecurity, I'm just giving a space for that insecurity to have a space so it can transform into its original form, which is no other than unconditional love. Even anger, the original form of anger is unconditional love. Everything returns to its original nature, which is unconditional love. So I experienced many times that by giving a space to the emotion in this way, the emotion would open up and I would feel the joy of my heart opening. One of the characteristics that I find most outstanding in Zen is its ability to adapt to the different cultures where its practices spreads and takes root. There are several ways in which traditional Japanese Zen adapted to American culture, but I want to mention two ways here. First, there are many practitioners in the West who are psychologically oriented. As a consequence of this, the practice of Dokusan evolved or is evolving from the traditional Japanese way, which was limited to the few minutes of practice presentation in a very hierarchical setting, to a more relaxed interview with the teachers in which we can talk about emotions if they are interfering with practice or anything else. I mean, I heard stories recently from a monk that came from Japan and told me that in his temple, the people are pulled out of the dokusan and they're screaming not to be pulled out of the sendo, to be taken to the dokusan room and being hit with the kusaku all the way down the hallway, and then they go into the dokusan room where the Roshi is waiting for them with another stick to continue hitting them, and they are screaming all the way from the time they are being pulled from the sendo, all the way on they are thrown into the dokusan room. Wow, it's amazing, huh? What a great motherly Zen we do here. The second way that traditional Japanese Zen has adapted to the American culture has to do with the great number of women practitioners, which was not common in Japan. This fact, together with our planetary crisis and the words of the Dalai Lama, who said that Western women will save the planet, creates a powerful new coming of the sacred feminine in the world and in Zen. The way that I understand the words of the Dalai Lama is that I take the word women to mean the sacred feminine, and the sacred feminine includes men, women, and all other genders. So in other words, we, the people, will save the planet. And I said a new coming of the sacred feminine because the sacred feminine was already in the very roots of Zen practice. As you know, Zen was born from the merging of Indian Buddhism and Chinese Taoism. Lao Tzu, in the Tao Te Ching, chapter 25, translated by Stephen Mitchell, says that before the universe was born, there was something infinite, immutable, and eternally present, which is the mother of the universe, which he calls the Tao. Do you know that the Tao is the mother of the universe? In other words, according to Lao Tzu, the mother of the universe is the one who teaches us the way, the Tao. The mother of the universe, as in the Tao, is an intrinsic part of the audience of Zen, which is known as Prajnaparamita, mother of all the Buddhas, or mother of the universe, or mother of all things. The one who helps us cross from the shore of delusion to the shore of enlightenment. Prajnaparamita, an evolution of the great mother of prehistoric times, represents the womb of emptiness. The womb of emptiness, which contains all gender energies and is considered the origin of the universe. The experience of enlightenment is also emanates from this womb. The experience of enlightenment also emanates from this womb. Of course, like I mentioned at the beginning of my talk, and it's worth mentioning again, the experience of the feminine, of the female womb of creation not only appears in Taoism and Zen, but also in the field of Western psychology. Carl Jung discovered that deep within our psyche, there is the primordial human experience of the mother of all things. Although there are many layers of the unconscious say that lie deep within our mind, and after we peel all the layers of our emotional onion and unify them within our hearts, then here also we can find the say that is not other than the mother of all things, that is Prajna Paramita. As we start illuminating the shadows of our individual unconscious, we will soon be able to bring light to the collective unconscious that all human beings share, because the individual and the collective unconscious are connected and interrelated. In order to address the question, which is the true say, all we have to do is to extend Maitri to all of our internal processes, and then there will be the time in which the two says will meet in an eternal embrace. Prajna Paramita. Want to finish with the words of the poet Rilke, who says, I want to unfold. I don't want to stay folded anywhere, because where I am folded, there I am not true.